prepare anything. Just a brief summary. I've been involved in the markets since probably the mid-1990s, mostly as an investor. What we do here in the room, day trading, I probably started around 2007 and took a lot of courses, took most of the courses that they had, and really started trading seriously in like 2007, 2008. My long-term goal in life was to retire at 50, and when I got to that point, it was right around 2008, and I wasn't ready to retire. I didn't have the money available to retire at that point, so I set a 5-year plan in place to get there, and got serious about day trading and started making money there and funneling the money to other types of investments. I bought some real estate in 2010 and other things, and probably been making some 200 to 250 R range for 5+ years now. Not sure where else to go with this. I'll take questions from you guys. My biggest realization was how hard it was, because when you come into this, when I came into this business, I thought it was going to be easy. As an investor, you buy stuff and you hold it for long term, and you don't really notice the small pullbacks. But when you're day trading, things can go against you pretty quick. So you think you're going to just step in and make lots of money off the bat, but it probably took a good 2 or 3 years before I was like really making enough money where I could say well, now I can leave my job because I can cover my expenses just with trading. China, my style is, I'm pretty much an investor outside of day trading. For day trading, I mainly do breakouts and 3-bar plays. And the one that I did this morning on was a FND, is what I call a fail gap. I like it when like a tier 1, tier 2 type gap fails and goes below the open. They often fail big time. I probably average 2 to 3 trades a day. Last few months, I've probably been averaging less than 2. Just been kind of a choppy environment. Robert, I think I already mentioned my favorite setups. Andreas, my R is around 500. I usually look at a range between 400 and 600, and I like to round off the share amounts so that nearest 50 to 100. I think last year my average R was around $512. Ron, I started around 2008. I started making good money probably around 2012. And like I said earlier, my goal was to retire at 50, and I deferred that with a 5-year plan, and I would have been able to retire at 55, but I enjoyed what I was doing at IBM at that time, so I ended up working a couple of extra years until I was 57, and I've been retired since 2015. Most of our expenses are covered just by trading. We were able to buy a vacation house, and we have several. We had at one point 14 real estate properties. Ended up selling a bunch of those that I had in Las Vegas that I bought in 2010. Jacket, like I said, it took like a good 3 years to become. When you say over the hump, I assume you mean, can you cover your expenses? Yeah, it probably took a good 3 years before I really felt comfortable. I guess it all comes down to what are your goals. Being profitable is one thing. You can make 1 hour a month and say you're profitable, but are you making enough money to live on, or what are you in this business for? Ron, it probably took 3 years to where I felt comfortable leaving my job. I don't know what your goal is. If your goal is just to make extra money, you can probably become profitable in 2 or 3 months. So it just depends on, how much money do you want to make, and can you cover your expenses? And what lifestyle do you want? You're probably not going to make $1 million day trading. You're going to have to funnel that money into other types of investments. So, Neculi, like I said, I've been averaging between 200 and 250 R for the last, I don't know, 5+ years. So, usually around 100 to 120,000 range. Mark, I don't let whether I'm up or down 1 hour affect what I'm taking. It's just usually what I can find, and if I feel comfortable with taking the trade. I usually don't like to go down more than 3R, and I don't think I've been down more than 2R in a couple of years, but that's just because I take so few trades. So, Chris, I have accounts with Schwab and Fidelity. Most of my trading I do on Fidelity now because they give me a really good rate. A lot of the brokerages, they have their standard rates, but if you have enough volume or you have enough money invested with them, they'll give you much better rates. So don't be afraid to ask if you're providing a lot of volume. Fidelity, their standard rate is $4.95, but they give me $1.95. So, Andreas, yes, I have a written trading plan. I wouldn't even consider trading without having a plan. You should also have a financial plan, like for your whole trading business, right? Because you have expenses outside of your actual trades. Chris, daily routine is get up, make coffee, put together a gap list, lock into the room, listen to Jared, and start making some trades. And usually I trade for about an hour, out to an hour and a half sometimes, and then take the rest of the day to do whatever. Since I'm retired, then I usually log back in, later in the afternoon or evening and go over whatever I traded, look at what the room traded, look at some charts, try to get stuff set up for the next day. I usually keep a carryover list, although I haven't been keeping one the last couple months because I haven't been trading all that much. And that's usually a good thing to do. Keep the gap list. I usually keep minders like for 3 or 4 days with the gap list in them and follow those stocks for several days. Because sometimes a stock will, it won't do anything on the day that it gaps, or it'll move up and then do not much the second day and do a 3-bar play the third day or whatever, So it's good to keep them around for a few days. Ron, the biggest key is just following your plan. When you start out, it's really hard to follow your plan. You break your plan. At least the first year especially, it was very hard to hold. And you just have to stay at it, follow the plan. Selling too soon was the biggest thing, right? I mean, everybody's probably experiencing it even now. So it just takes a long time it took me a long time to learn just to hold them. And when I initially started, the first probably 2 or 3 months, stops was also an issue. I would see something come out. I would see a stock come and stop me out and then immediately take off. So for a while, I would just stop taking stops. But after 2 or 3, 3 or 4 hour losses, you learn that lesson really quick. Jared wasn't super hard on me. Most of the time I was learning, Jared was just starting out as a moderator. We had back at the old firm, there was a trading room, an education room, and there was a guy named Avery Meisner that ran that room. So he's the one that helped me set up my plan and reviewed my plan several times and yelled at me and beat on me more than Jared did. But you can learn a lot from Jared. Just have a thick skin. Ron, for charts, I look at the 1 minute chart for about the first 10 minutes. And then I go to the three minute. I use a 3 minute instead of a 2 minute just because of the platform. For some reason on my platform, the 2 minute chart scrunches the bars and makes them really tiny. So it's hard to spot patterns. So I use the 3. And I use the 3 minute probably till like 10 a.m. or 10:10 and then switch to the 5 the rest of the time. Jack, the biggest thing is just working on the management, basically. Not selling too soon, taking your stops. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say because over 2 or 3 year period where I got to that point, I don't think I changed a lot from my initial plan. It's most of us are good at, we're able to learn to read the charts pretty quick, right? You can read the charts, learn to read charts in a couple of months and be pretty proficient. It's the actual management that's the hard part. And at some point, you just have to trust your plan. I have changed my plan over time. In my initial plan, I used to sell half at 1.5 hour and look for 3 or 4 hour for the back, and just trail it up, and that worked for a long time. Then about 2 or 3 years, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? It was in November. I changed my plan because that just wasn't working anymore. Stocks just weren't, at least the ones I was trading, just weren't going more than 2 hour. So I switched to the plan that I currently use, which is 2 hour, going to break even at about 1 hour. But the hardest part is just learning to trust your plan and hold for the targets. You have to learn patience. It's not easy. China, that's hard to say. That's the comment I made yesterday that Jared talked about when I said, I'm lucky. I just don't know. It's, I guess, just looking at millions of charts over the years, you just get a gut feel for which ones are going to work and which ones aren't. I don't know. And a lot of it may be things that I look at. I may be more picky on like daily average volume than others. Like I almost will never take an early morning breakout on a stock that has very low average daily volume, because sometimes when they do earnings, the first 20 minutes will have very high volume and then it drops off. And if you're in those stocks, they can pull back really fast on you. Yeah, Andreas, I do pay $1.95. Mark, I'm not sure I understand. The percentage doesn't really matter. If I'm going to fade a gap up, I just want to see it, gap, a really strong gap up, and then run up a little bit and then pull all the way back below the gap, below where it gapped to. And very often those will come down and they sometimes fall very hard, especially the tier ones. When they break, they sometimes break really hard. This is the one I haven't seen a lot of those lately, but I think last spring we were getting quite a few of them. We were calling them a cliff play because not because of me cliff, but because they fall off a cliff. They have to set up a nice little base too. You don't want to just take them when they hit that point. Ron, I think I started around $25 risk, and then I wanted to stay profitable at each level for, like at least well, I think the first few risk levels, since they were fairly small, I only did like a month. But after, once I got up to 100, going to 200 and 300, I wanted to keep, have like several months in a row before going to the next risk level. And some was even like 6 months until I was really consistent. And there was a time I was up to $1,000 risk, but I didn't really feel comfortable at that level. So 500 is where I feel comfortable, and it gives me the money that I need to cover my expenses, which is what I try to do with the day trading. Just cover our like monthly living expenses. Robert, like I said, the hardest part is just the mental, the mental part, right? Just being able to be patient, focus, staying in the trade, letting it play out. I mean, that's the hardest part of this. Um, that was me for hi, Chana. That was me for several years. I would just look at charts for hours and hours. Now I like to go through like on Saturday or Sunday night. I'll sit down for an hour and just go through all the. Um, I think I have a universe of like 800 to 1,000. I'll just go through all those really quick, looking at the dailies and the weekly, see if there's any potential swings or core trades. But I don't do it every day like that. Usually just once a week. Just practice, Phil. Just keep at it. Even now, I'll sometimes get out. I think I had one last week. I just, I took it and it didn't do what I wanted to do right away, so I just sold it. Technically, if we're sticking to our plan, we shouldn't be doing that, but sometimes on a breakout, if it doesn't break correctly, it can be correct to sell it right away. Yeah, Mark, I think you do have to change over time if what you're doing isn't working. So if you let's say you pick one strategy and you do it for 2 months and you're still not making a profit, or a month, or whatever you decide, sure, go ahead and change. You have to keep changing until you find something that's working, right? Nikolai, probably breakouts and breakdowns. I mean, I'll trade most most patterns. I look at all the room calls, and I think if the stuff you see me put in the room are probably most of the time they're breakouts or breakdowns on the smaller time frames. Yeah, Ron, that's correct. 2R moving to break even at 1R. No, I wouldn't consider moderating, only because I don't want a job. I view that as a job. So I want to be able to come and go as I please and take days off. And yeah, and Ron, tier one is a level one. That's the term we used in the course I took in the gap course I took in the old trading room. Interestingly, the old company had a whole bunch of courses. I think I took 6 or 7 different courses over there, and Jared has condensed all of that information, all of the information you need from those into his one course. So that's the big advantage you guys have being in this room and taking his course. You're getting most of the material. I took several courses all in one all in one. Um, I usually start have to always convert from West Coast time to East Coast time. I usually start around, I guess it would be 8:45 East Coast time, looking for the gaps. I kind of whittle it down, but I look at Jared's and Anmal's lists and what I've come up with, and kind of like Jared does, just come up with the ones that look the best for the open, and then the ones that I may want to wait 10 or 15 minutes for. The last month or two, I've almost tried avoiding the first 5 minutes, just because we see a lot of those that go up. They'll break out, they'll go up a little bit, or maybe an hour, and then come all the way back down. So I've been trying to stay away from the first 5 minutes, although it's not always easy. Like I think the W we did this morning was in the first 5 minutes. Robert, I used to use mostly Schwab because I like their platform much better than Fidelity, but Fidelity has it's very easy to find shorts on Fidelity. I almost never find a stock I can't short. And Schwab, I had a lot of issues with that. And then Fidelity, I was talking to my advisor a couple of years ago, and mentioned I do a lot of trading. He was able to get me that good rate, so I've pretty much switched to almost all of my trades are on Fidelity now. But I've never used TradeStation. I know Jared loves it. I am on Twitter, although I don't tweet much because I only have like 20 followers, if that. But you can, I think my handle there is at Cliff A. Clark. I don't trade other markets. I do trade some options, but not a lot. I do a lot of covered calls on my. I have a dividend portfolio, which I also do covered calls on those to generate extra income there. Thanks, Chana. Yeah, that was the PTS course, Matthew. Highly recommended if you're gonna be trading. At the other company, I probably spent when I first started taking the courses there, they were much more expensive too than courses are nowadays. I probably spent $12,000 to $15,000 on courses over the years. So when I see these guys doing offers of like $1,500 or $2,000, and nobody's, people are still willing to come here and trade without that, I kind of scoff. It's like, come on, guys, you're gonna spend much more in losses than you are on that course. Yeah, Mark, you have to use all of the charts. We like to call that multiple time frame analysis, right? Best advice I can give is get education and don't trade without a plan. If you trade without a plan, you're throwing yourself to the wolves, as they say. Just what I said, Anmo. You have to have a plan. I tried trading for probably close to a year without a plan. It didn't work out very well. I probably had 20,000 in losses that 1 year. And I'd also recommend having a check outside of your plan, just having a checklist that you refer to um, before you take every trade when you're starting out. Because sometimes, there's a lot of little things you should be looking at when you take a trade, and a lot of them are easy to overlook. Is there enough volume and that kind of thing. That's perfect, Ron. Yeah, finding your style is definitely important. The most important thing. If you don't have patience and you're trying to trade off the hourly chart, it's going to get ugly. Jack, I don't think I ever wanted to bag it. There were there were times where the frustration really gets to you and you just walk away for a couple of days. But I always came back. And sometimes that's a good thing, right? Um, we always joke, it seems like every time I take a vacation and come back, the week after I come back, I make 10 or 15 R, and that's probably not a wrong statement, right? Because you're getting away and you're getting refreshed. So we need to take that time off from time to time to refresh ourselves. Yeah, Ron, I use tabbed charts, meaning I look at one I can have like one chart up at a time, and then there's tabs at the top of the chart that I can, if I'm looking at the 3 minute, I can tab to the 5 minute or the 15 or the hourly very quickly. I don't have the space on my monitors to have two or three up at the same time if I want to look at a large number of stocks. So I do it that way. It takes a little time to get used to doing it that way, but it works out once you're used to it. That's Kevin. That's a hard question to answer. You just have to learn to, you have to trust your plan. Kind of keep yourself calm during the day and try not to do stupid things. Don't chase after losses. Basically, you have a 2 or 3 hour down, 2 or 3 hour down day. Just stop. Have something in your plan to stop you. Because those are the kind of things that kill us, right? And we're all going to have those drawdowns where you have that -5 or 6 hour week, and over time you just have to. I don't know how to. You just have to learn to deal with it somehow. Maybe you can learn to meditate or breathing techniques or whatever, but I'm not sure I like Ron. I'm not sure I like any of the breakouts more, more or less. Whatever is working in the current environment, basically. Can I talk about psychology? I mean, I can recommend, like I already recommended Van Tharp, and his books also talk about trading psychology. We have to learn to keep ourselves calm during the day. Maybe meditate during the day, or when you feel you're getting on edge, just walk away for 5 minutes. But just, yeah, that's the hardest thing to deal with. I'm not sure how to talk about it though. Other than, every person's different. How we deal with it is different because we all have different beliefs, right? What's going to work for one person may not work for somebody else. Yeah, we're going to be spending almost 3 weeks in Hawaii. We're going to do almost a week on Oahu, and then also a week on Maui, and I think 5 nights on Kauai. And we have a day to look at real estate on each of those islands. I don't know if we'll move there. It depends on what we find. It's kind of like a fact-finding mission. I would highly doubt it because I'd probably feel like I'm in prison being on an island. But if we could find something cheap enough, I could see buying something that we could visit a few times a year. Yeah, that's my favorite too, Eric. I'd like to find just a small bungalow in Kauai that we could go to on occasion. My private jet is a long ways away, Nikila. Yeah, I know. Kauai is probably the cheapest one, but yeah, we sold our McKinleyville vacation house, so we have the profit from that. That if we buy a house in Hawaii, we'd probably use that. But I have no idea what prices are like in Hawaii now, so I don't even know if that would cover that. Okay, so sounds like that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And
morning, guys. Hold on 1 second. I don't know why this is coming up here. I need like 3 cents on AMD. Come on, man. I need 3 cents on AMD. Literally 3 cents. Just go, man. Just go. Go. God damn. 3 cents. Just pop, man. Alright. Come on. 2 more cents. I need 2 more cents on this freaking AMD. Come on. Test my patience, man. 1 more cent. Don't do this to me right now.
Order cancelled.
There we go.
Order filled.
Boom. AMD target hit. I'm back. I'm back. It's like every day I start the day minus 1 hour. Right? Like every day I start the day minus 1 hour. Like my first trade's a losing one every single day. Isn't it weird? Like every single day, my first one's a loser, and then winner, 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 kind of like that. So now we're in IBM. Now we're in IBM. But by the way, thank you, Cliff, for coming on. I mean, it was great. I know the members got a lot out of it, by hearing your story, because it's always something to like hear from someone like me or Jared, like someone who's running the room, like a moderator. And it's a totally different thing when you hear from someone who's a member, right? Someone who started just like I did, just like Jared did, by taking courses, being in the trading room, being part of the community, and then working your way up. Because I'll tell you this: at the previous firm, which doesn't exist anymore, right? There was another trading firm where Jared used to run the trading room. So Cliff and me were members in there, right? I remember that. I mean, it was the same trading room. Cliff was a member in that trading room, and I was also a member in that trading room. I wasn't the moderator, right? I wasn't running the trading room. I was just a member, just like Cliff. We were all together. And then, down the road, Jared and the other people in the firm asked me to come on board as a moderator. So that's how, I got started. So, I mean, it's great hearing Cliff's story. obviously it's inspiring, but at the same time, it's real, right? Like you guys can see, it's not a story where, hey, I started trading and I traded penny stock and I just turned 2,000 into $55 million, right? It's not like that. It's a real story of like 1 year, 2 years of like hard work of putting your foot forward, right? Of really putting the effort, really putting the time in, and now he's reaping the rewards of the hard work that he put in earlier down the road, right? I mean, now he's going to Hawaii. He's thinking of getting a place there. I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? So, and it all happens because you can see how he put in the right foot forward. He put in the effort. He went through the grind. It's almost like, and it's a perfect statistic here, right? People who, let's say, start businesses, all right, let's say they struggle in the first couple of years, and then they run successful companies, they are more likely to continue running those successful companies and being rich and being wealthy than someone, let's say, who won the lottery, right? So let's say someone won the lottery. So let's say this person started his business, okay, and he made $1 million over, let's say, 5 years, right? Now that he figured the model out, he's able to scale it, and he's more likely to retain and grow his wealth than someone who, let's say, won the lottery for $1 million, right? So look at this. This guy earned $1 million, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of hard work, and this guy also earned $1 million, but he won a lottery, right? Who's more likely to retain and grow their wealth, guys? Right? It's the same $1 million. This is $1 million. This is $1 million. But the person who's putting in the effort and the time, he's more likely to grow it and retain his wealth than someone who just got it handed to him. And that's what happened to a lot of these, online you read all these penny stock people, penny stock traders, right? And what happens to them is that they take some big risk, they make a ton of money, and now they're like, okay, great, look at me, I made a ton of money. And what ends up happening? 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they blow up, right? So you put in the effort, you do it the right way, you do it the PTS way, you do it the LiveTraders way. All right, let's see what else you got. How do you deal with the anxiety when you're in a trade very close to target and the stock suddenly starts pulling back and chopping around? Good question. So first of all, do I feel anxious when I'm in a trade getting close to target? Yes, I do. I'm human, right? How do I handle it? Well, the way I handle it is I don't act on it, right? So what I do is, and by the way, Faraz, the trading psychology course, take it, because if this is the kind of question you're asking, take it. You don't need to take PTS for that, but I highly recommend PTS for it, right? If you take PTS, accompany it by trading psychology. But if you haven't, maybe quite not ready to take PTS just yet, maybe it's the funds or whatever, take the trading psychology course. It's really inexpensive. It's pretty much free, right? So take that. So the way I do it is I realize that I have emotions, okay? So for example, right now, AMD, the perfect example of AMD, right? I'm down 1 hour for the day. By the way, guys, look at AMD. By the way, how many of you guys made money on AMD? Anybody trade AMD? Anybody make money on it? So, I saw AMD like getting 10 cents from my target, right? I'm like, man, this is so much green in a row. It can pull back, right? And I was like, should I take my profit? Like all these emotions are going through my head. Should I take my profit early? Blah, 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 blah. I'm down 1 hour for the day. What if I just take 1 hour here? I'll be break even for the day. I'm not down anymore. What if this thing pulls back and I'm down 2 hours for the day? Blah, 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 blah. Like chit, right? Chatter going on in your head. What I do is I realize, okay, here's how I'm feeling. But then I say, who wins long term, Anmol? Does your brain win long term by doing what you want to do, or does 2 hour always kick your butt? And then I get humbled. I'm like, you know what, Anmol? 2 hour always freaking beats you, man. Like I've been trading 8 years and I've never been able to beat 2 hour all or nothing. Okay, I've tried it. So my brain is not strong, right? Or 2 hour is way better than my brain. So I'm like, how would you feel, Anmol, if this goes 2 hour right now after you get out? You could be up 1 hour for the day, but now you're just going to be break even. Do you want to be a break even trader? Right? And I said, nah, man, I'm just going to freaking hold it. For IBM is a different scenario because IBM, we also have call options on, right? By the way, if you guys traded those call options with IBM yesterday, they're doing fantastic, right? Those same call options are up awesome amount. So that's why when I took the day trade on IBM, I'm like, I'm going to hold IBM till, my day trade target. But I'm going to put my stock to break even because I have the call options anyway. I didn't want to double my risk on one stock. So that's kind of how I handle it. Let's see. Yeah, don't buy anything, guys. Don't spend money and buy shit, right? Just go to YouTube, go type in Van Tharp. Everything's available, what you need to know for free. Right? I don't spend money on that stuff. If you want to spend money, one thing you can do is go to audible.com, right? Audible.com. You get, I think, one or two ebooks, one or two audiobooks for free. Just purchase Van Tharp's audiobook. You get it for free. Don't pay for this stuff. If you want to pay for something, pay for PTS course. Let's see. So Jared says, set your stop target and walk away. Yep, that's one way to do it, right? And I will tell you this, if I was not a moderator, if I was not running the trading room, okay, I will literally set my target and I will walk away. I can't walk away because, I'm going to be on the mic here. All right. But for you guys, there's no excuses. Don't worry. I will not, I will not say, don't do it. I will be totally fine if you walk away from the room. Right? Take your trade, do your trading, and just leave, man. Just get out, right? That's what I would recommend. I can't get out because, I got to be here. Who's going to run the room? All right? Oh, that's right. That is 100% right, Cliff. You can eat, there was a quote that I posted on my Instagram, right? You can either pay for knowledge or you can pay for ignorance. Either way, you will pay. Either way, you will pay. So you can pay for knowledge or you can pay for ignorance. Either way, you're going to pay. So might as well pay with something that has more upside. Right? But either way, you will pay. All right? Market will take its money, the way it wants to. I mean, look at Cliff. What was Cliff talking about? He spent $15,000, $20,000 on his education. And he's 100% right. So, it's like you got to have your priorities right. Most people want to get an iPhone. Most people want to get a nice car. Most people want to eat out. I mean, that's their priority, And I prioritize my learning, And I talk about this every day. I was just on a radio show last week. So on that radio show, this guy was asking me all sorts of questions about, hardships and things like that. And I told him flat out, I was in college. What most of my friends were doing, most of the people around me were doing, were partying, right? Girls, drugs, right? Really having a good time. Do you think I didn't want that? Do you think I was not tempted? Do you think I didn't want to do it? Do you think I didn't want to participate in that? Once or twice I did. Okay? But don't you think like I wanted to do that as well? Right? Of course I wanted to. But I postponed that, All right, I didn't do it because you had the priorities, right? I didn't have a great time when I was sitting in my dorm room, middle of night, watching, courses. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I had planned for college, but I had my priorities. I knew where I want to go to, and I wasn't going to compromise. I wasn't going to settle. Most people are settling. So you guys got to think about that. Well, where are your priorities, Most people will go on Black Friday, go shopping and, do all sorts of things. And that's okay, spending money in it. But when it comes to themselves, they don't want to invest money. So think about it. If you want to invest in yourself, how do you expect the universe to invest in you? Think about that for a second. If you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect other people to do that? All right, so let's now go over the trades, all right? So my first trade of the day was AAOI, really disappointing trade. I think the trade was good and bad at the same time. So let's kind of go over that, all right? Let me review the trade. Intraday pattern. I think my intraday pattern on AAOI was a good short, right? I shorted it right under here with a stop right over here. It dropped about half hour and then popped right back up and then stopped out. So I think intraday pattern is fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. Daily, I can make a case that it was a little bit, maybe a little bit too much down, right, in the last few months. So that we can make a case. And looking at the weekly chart, I think I know why it stopped out. I mean, there's support here. So, you know what, AOI, not my best trade. Not my best trade. Because look at this. This area on the weekly chart is a little bit of a support. So now we know why AOI stopped out. Okay, now we know. And I think the reason I did AOI was I was really frustrated this morning, like, because I'm not feeling well. I have a flu right now, cough, cold. I mean, all those things that I got going on right now, headache, weakness. And I came in this morning and I'm like, you know, this, hold on. Hold on one second. And I came in and, you know, I missed 3 trades in a row. Like Jared traded that. Great trade. Great trade. I missed it. I was late on it. AIG, fantastic trade. I missed it, right? NXPI, I talked about it also. I mentioned it in the chat, but I hesitated. And, you know, W hit 2R, AIG hit 2R, NXPI hit 2R. That's 6 R's that could have been in my bank right now that were not. So I was already frustrated. So I think that AOI, I looked at the daily, I looked at the intraday pattern, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And I traded it, not knowing that there was weekly support. So that's my mistake. All right, now to the next trade, IBM. IBM, which we're still in. This one, stop is at break even. And the reason why stop is at break even is what I told you guys is because A, we already have call options from yesterday, which we're already up a pretty good amount on, right? Anybody bought the call options yesterday? They're up pretty good, really, really nice, all right? So I got the call options from yesterday, and we have the day trade going. So in my head, because I'm risking about 300 bucks or something, 400 bucks on your call options, and then I had another, you know, 500 bucks on this trade. So it was like 1,500 something bucks on like one trade. So what I said is I'm gonna hold my call options, right, as a swing, and then I'm going to day trade. I'm going to raise stop to break even and see if it goes to 2R. So, you know, the IBM trade, does anybody want to take a guess first what the pattern was, like just before I get started? But I'll give you a hint. 15-minute breakout. See this from yesterday? So let's look at the 15-minute chart. Down, 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 down. And now look what you see. In fact, maybe if I go to 5-minute, you can probably get a better picture. Yeah. All right, live here. So the trade that I did, why is it going to 15? 5-minute chart is right this. See this? That's the trade. So it failed here, you know, the prior day. It failed here again yesterday, and then it failed here all day yesterday and today, right? And look at the high of this pivot, 115.74. Look at the high of this pivot, 115.74. Look at the high of this pivot, 115.74. So what was my entry? 115.75. So a penny above this breakout level is where I got in. I put my stop loss down in here, all right, and I'm looking for a target of 116.41, which is literally right around there. So one more pop on IBM, and our 2R will be hit. And one of the reasons I'm also happy with raising my stop on this one at the moment is because you look at the Qs, and Qs just ripped up, right? Qs just went straight up here, and IBM tried to go up, but has not been able to just do it yet. So for that reason, I said, you know what? IBM call options we're going to have open anyway. We're going to hold them for a day trade. You know, either I want to make money, either I'm going to break even. But I definitely want to make at least 1 hour today. That's my thought process. I mean, if I really want to break the plan right now, I could literally dump IBM right here, right? Take an hour and call it a day. I'll be up 1.5, 2 hours for the day. But I'm going to hold it just because the base is decent and our stop is still all the way down here. So there is a chance IBM might be able to do that. So that's why I'm holding for now. So that's IBM. The next trade of the day for me was AMD. AMD, great trade, guys. Look at AMD now. Woo! Look at freaking AMD. Man, look at that. 5-minute 9 EMA people, if anybody is in there. I mean, you're going to be crushing it. So what's the trade on AMD? Anybody want to take a guess what it is? Anybody want to take a guess? I'll just tell you right now. Breakout, right? Goes up here in the morning, 1859, 1859, fails, right? Bases, 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 back up, 1859, 1859, 1859. What's my entry? 1860, right? My entry is 1860. Where's my stop loss go? So I think Chris was asking me this question via PM. Why 1842 for a stop loss? Good question. So here's the reasoning. So either I could put my stop here, which in my opinion was a little too wide. It was a little too big of a stop, so I don't want to put it there. Or either I could put it here, right? And in my opinion, that was too tight. That could have easily stopped out. So what I said is, I'm going to go to that bar under that, what started that base. So right here is where I put my stop. You see the green bar's low? That green bar's low is 1843. So I just went a penny under that bar. So it's a little wider than this base, but it's also a little tighter than this base. So kind of in the middle, right? Because my thought process was, if it gets above 1859, goes to 1860, you know, it shouldn't really come all the way back down here, because if it does, it's probably not going to work. So that's where I got my stop from of 1842. So it's just a simple breakout pattern, but it's not about the breakout pattern. The reason I traded it is the daily chart. Look at the daily chart. In fact, let me go to the 60 minutes so you can get a better picture. All right, let's go to the 60-minute chart. So look at the 60-minute chart, what it's doing today, guys. Right? Failed at this level, failed at this level, right? Failed at this level, failed at this level, right? Our breakout was right above that 60-minute breakout level. Boom, popped up. Where can it go to? Next resistance level. That's it. This is what we were talking about yesterday. This is the pocket of void, right? We were talking just about this yesterday. You need a pocket of void. So our trade on this was above 60-minute resistance into the next resistance. That's the void. So 60-minute breakout, you know, timed it with a 1-minute breakout, and the daily chart was great. It's down quite a lot. It's got a pretty big gap, can get sucked up into it. So that was the trade on AMD. So that's kind of how my day went. You know, lost 1 hour. Actually, I just full disclosure, I did not lose 1 hour on AOI. Actually lost like 1.3 hour because of slippage. Because I got slippage on the way in on AOI. I was supposed to get filled at let me see. I was supposed to get filled on AOI around like 34. I actually got filled around 28ish. So, you know, so I did lose a little bit more than 1 hour on AOI, but I made that back 2 hour on AMD, and right now we are in this IBM. And, you know, we'll see what happens. If IBM hits 2R, that would be fantastic. Then I'll close the day just about 3R. Okay. All right. On AMD, weren't you concerned with the resistance level from back in August? Well, this one? Yeah, but this one, look at where it is, though. It's still got room, right? I played it long above here. So even if you do this one, this little area as resistance, it's still right now that it's getting there. I got out here. I got way down there. So that was a pocket of void. Yeah. And also there's another, this is more of an advanced concept, but you know, but I personally don't believe in it that much as I used to before. But there's another advanced technical analysis concept, which is, you know, neutralization of a support resistance area. All right. How do you know the stop is too tight? You know, it just, well, a few things, you know, like how much can it move? The reason why I thought it's too tight is because, you know, when we were getting to our breakout level, we were already moving up. You know what I mean? So we were already moving up and we were breaking out. So that's why I thought this is too tight, because it could easily trigger us in, right? Come back down, stop us out, and then still continue to uptrend. So that, in my opinion, was a little too tight, because we were already going up when it was triggering. If the pattern was like this, let's say, let's do this. If the pattern was like that and I was playing above this area, then I'm fine with using the low of the base, because it's a nice breakout, so it can kind of power through. But this one was already going up when it was breaking out, so it could have easily triggered us in, pulled back, stopped out, and then continue higher. Make sense? So that's kind of how I traded today, guys. So let's go over the regrets of the day. I got 3 regrets for you. Number 1, W. I should have been in this one basically the lower day, like here, by here. You know, I'll say I'm okay with it, I guess. Because I'll be honest, I didn't really miss W. I saw it. I kind of chose not to take it. You know, because I was thinking that, in my opinion, when I was looking at the morning, I was like, man, it's got a pretty big stop loss. That's like a $2 and almost $3 stop loss, right? $3 stop loss. I needed to go $6, and I didn't. And the target would have been somewhere around 91. At that moment, I thought it probably is not going to go down that much, but it did. So it is what it is. AIG is the one that I definitely missed, man. That one is, it's debatable, however, right? It's debatable if we would have got filled or not. I mean, looking at the chart, we got filled, but again, when our real orders are in, things are different. So this one we should have done like right above that second bar, long above that red bar, stop lower day. Your target would have been 44.62. It went to 44.63. So in looking at just the chart, we can make a case that the 2R would have been hit. But at the same time, it's different because when we have actual orders in, we don't know if it would have filled you or not. What if it saw the orders and didn't go to 63? And in that case, AIG would have stopped out. And then the other regret of the day is NXPI. Two regrets on NXPI. Both of them work. Look at this. Freaking. God, it's making me sick. Look at NXPI. Both entries on NXPI I talked about worked. Both of them worked. All right. Check out this first entry that I posted on NXPI. NXPI watch above 81. This was right here. 81. Stop would have been 80.30. Your target would have been hit right over here. All right. So that's one trade that already hit 2R, which I hesitated on. And the reason I hesitated is because I was a little bit concerned about this little pivot. You see this? I was a little bit concerned about this area right about here, that maybe if I take it, found resistance here. In this case, it just blew past it. So NXPI was definitely a miss of the day. And then right here, check this out. NXPI watch pullback. Look at what happens. Pull back. You see, put your stop a lower day. And even the pullback freaking worked. So NXPI, both trades worked. So that's my regret of the day. AIG, NXPI, and the W. That's kind of what I wish I had taken, because then the day would have been like totally freaking different. Yeah, totally different. Could you explain the entry of Jared on W? Let me take a look. I can take a guess, but I wouldn't know, what he would be thinking in that time. But let's see. 96.50 by 99. So yeah, he basically did it. Yeah, same as what I wanted to do. Right, same as what I wanted to. Like right here by right here, little breakdown pattern. Gap size of the gap was pretty good because it was gapping. Look at this. It was gapping under 200 MA, gapping under that pivot, and it's not a big gap. It's a decent sized gap. So that was a pretty good short, and I think that's the one that Jared did, and that was a great trade. That was a great trade. First one on NXPI, just the opening range breakout, right? Opening range breakout. The first entry, because see, it goes down, comes back up, goes down again, and then comes back up. So you got a little box, the opening range, and that was the trade. On a pullback entry on NXPI, a certain amount. Well, looking at this trade, I probably would have got it like somewhere in here, right? So I'm not gonna say, oh, I would have got it right there at the low. That's that's not gonna happen. I probably would have entered somewhere around like 81, 80, 90 or 81. Yeah, I probably entered would have around 80, 85, 80, 90. So that's what my entry would have been. Somewhere back in this zone would have been my entry, and I would have given it, somewhere around the lower day. That's what I would have done. Or if you missed this, the other good entry, which was more kind of confirmation, was this. When it touched the VWAP and then it pulled back. Now you can do it like right here with a stop down low, or you can do it above the VWAP with a stop down at this pivot, and that would work too. So many ways to trade a pullback. Ugh. Man, this flu is killing me. It's like I have energy in the morning, and as the day goes by, my energy just keeps getting drained. I'm glad I only trade the morning. So IBM guys, still hanging in there. I already posted the target. It's like another 22 cents above the high day. So, we'll hold on to IBM until that happens. Apple reports tonight. That will be interesting, right? Because they got freaking tons of products recently, right? They got the iPhone XS, iPhone XS Max, iPhone XR. Then they came up with a new iPad. Then they came up with a new Mac Mini. Then they came up with a new MacBook Air. And then they came up with, but it's just new operating system. I mean, they just got like tons of products. So it will be interesting to see their earnings. Very interesting to see their earnings. New iPad is awesome. What's new on that? I didn't see the I didn't see their keynote. What's new on that? All right, have a good one, Firaz. See you tomorrow. AMD just pulled back a bit. Was this pullback too shallow? Yes, I think now AMD is done for the day. I wouldn't want to play AMD long today because, like I was going over the trade earlier, I drew a little line, right? And we played in the void, so that's fine. But now that it's already kind of gone up that much, it's not going to have that much momentum and power to go back up, combined with the fact that I don't really trust the market anymore. Right? Market had a pretty nice move. But I don't know how much more it can go, so I'm gonna pass on AMD. In fact, I'll just say this: I'm gonna pass on any trade today. I'm done trading for the day. Either this IBM hits target, either it takes us out break even, and in fact, I'm actually gonna dump IBM right here. I'm gonna dump IBM right here, guys. Out IBM. I'm still holding my call options, okay? I'm still holding my call options. I'm still holding my options on this. By the day trade, I dumped it 116. Other people dumped it also at the same time. Yeah, looks like it, right? Looks like it. I mean, as soon as I was talking about, selling IBM, boom, just like a red bar. So stuff happens. The angle looks so good. So this was earlier. It might have worked. The one of the rules that I have. By the way, IBM is back up again. I don't mind because I still have the call options. Yeah, look at this. This is way too shallow. I never want to play something that's way extended from the VWAP because the VWAP sometimes acts as a magnet. Yeah. So, IBM, sorry, AMD, like this is way too shallow, right? I want pullbacks like this, never like that. Yeah, I mean, this was like, look at this. Not really a pullback, it's just kind of momentum. By the way, great call on AMD. Proud of myself, I traded it. Did you just lecture earlier about AMD and how you never beat your plan? Yeah, it did, but I'm sick, so yeah, Joe says I'm allowed. And I have the call options, so, it's fine. It's not really fine, guys, but, it's fine. But you don't break it. I can break it. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay? And, IBM's back up, and I hope it goes, I really hope it goes higher for two reasons. I hope it goes higher for two reasons. Number one, I have the call option, so I'll still be happy if it goes higher. Number two, it'll be a good lesson for me, if IBM hits target. It will be a good lesson for me if IBM hits target. I like sometimes, when the market says, you think you know better on Mo, and then bam, you get a slap on your face. Look at that target hit. And those are good. Those moments are good. I think it needs to happen, now and again. But 1st of November, brand new month here, guys. Not bad. Started the day down, now worked it back up. We're up, about just close to 2 hours today, and I will perfectly take that. FND. Well, I would not be able to explain anybody else's trade. I can only explain what my trade is. FND was not on my gap list, so I can't really go over that. But I'll take a look at it. Give you my thoughts on it, but I obviously wouldn't know what Cliff was thinking. FND actually was on my list. My bad. I thought it's a short gap. Can you explain the gap fade short? Let's see. Not really, not my kind of trade, but it faded. You could have shorted it like under the topping tail or under here, but I'm more in the direction of a gap type of trader, unless it's a novice gap. So, I play the gaps in the direction of their gap, unless it's a novice gap. Make sense? So that's my biggest rule: is I play stocks in the direction that they're gapping, unless it's a novice gap. All right. So, any other questions, guys? Any other questions, comments, or anything at all? Let me know. Be happy to go over that. Kind of disappointed with this. Actually, yeah, a little bit disappointed. I missed a lot of trades today. Could have been a really, really beautiful day, but Alrighty. What else, guys? What else? Where did we get the call options? Those IBM call options. Not bad, we got him around $2 yesterday, right? They're about the spread's kind of opened up on it, 20-cent spread on his call options, but we got them around $2. They're bidding 217, offering 237. So in percentage terms, it's nice. My target for those call options is 345. So I have a limit order, all right? I have a limit order to sell the IBM call options that I purchased yesterday around $2. The target is where am I selling it? Hold on, let me take my order. 335. So 335 is my target for those call options.